Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me. Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. After 3 months of relative but tense calm in Manipur, violence has once again erupted in the state. It started on the 1st of September and it's still continuing. Worse still, this time there are fears that Kuki militants are fueling the violence. These are said to be Kuki militants who have broken their agreement with the government of India, the so-called SoO Agreements. My guest today is the national spokesperson of the Kuki National Organization, an umbrella organization which is part of the SoO Group, Seilen Haokip. Mr. Haokip, as I said in that introduction, after 3 months of relative but tense calm, violence has once again erupted in Manipur. It started on the 1st of September, it's still continuing, and my first question is therefore a simple one. As the national spokesperson of the Kuki National Organization, what's your explanation for this sudden eruption of violence?
Interesting, yes, Karan. The first thing that comes to mind when you ask that question is, I'm equally puzzled, but nonetheless, when you study the situation, you realize there's some points that one can actually refer to. For instance, the audio tape leaks about the Chief Minister of Manipur. That suspicion has always been there. And on ground, without the legal aspect, it was already confirmed that he was clearly involved. Without him, all that had happened from 3rd of May could not have. For instance, the state forces leading the mob, the militant group in Imphal, against vulnerable Kukis living in pockets of Imphal, where they're completely outnumbered by the Meitei population.
But can I interrupt? What's
Please.
the connection between the audio tape leaks and the violence that began on the 1st of September?
Well, the audio tape leaks clearly confirms that the CM had ordered the violence that started. Some with commission, some by omission.
Are you suggesting that the CM is responsible for the violence that started on the 1st of September?
Yes. Otherwise, why would on the 3rd of May, with all the security that is there in the heart of the capital, that, such violence could erupt?
You're actually alleging
I'm
that
not
Biren
alleging.
Singh you're stating.
I'm not alleging, I'm stating. And this tape confirms it. I know his voice, I've met him. And of course, that's something for the Commission of Inquiry to determine or deliberate on in terms of the legality and etc. But for us, it's always been known on ground that this was going on. Otherwise, you couldn't explain.
So you're saying to me that as the national spokesperson of the Kuki National Organization, you have no doubt that Biren Singh is responsible for the violence that began on the 1st of September. I'm not talking of the violence that began 3rd of May 2023, because those audio tapes refer to the violence that happened then or subsequently. I'm talking specifically about the violence on the 1st of September.
Oh, 1st of September. Okay. Now, that's where it connects with the genesis of the whole problem, where the tape reveals who the catalyst is of all the troubles that began from 3rd of May and preceding that also. However, you're focusing on the 1st of September, and there my answer is This tape came out just before 1st of September, and all this violence is to divert attention of the media and all concerned to, away from the tape.
So it's a tactic of deflection.
Absolutely.
All right.
From our point of view.
That's your answer from your point of view.
Yes.
There are reports, picked up most of all by the Times of India, which say that Kuki insurgents have deliberately broken their SoO agreement with the government and are responsible for fueling and starting the violence. And I want to ask you, are Kuki insurgents involved? And secondly, are insurgents of your own umbrella organization, the Kuki National Organization, involved?
See, we abide by the ground rules. And the incident that led to the situation in Kotruk is related to the lifeline between Kangpokpi and Lamka, the only route for us to be able to go from A to B and return.
I just, for the audience, point out that Lamka is the Kuki name for Churachandpur. I
that
don't
is
want the
the
audience
original
to get
name of the place.
But it's now known as Churachandpur, and it's clear
officially.
Absolutely. So the audience need to be clear what you're talking
you
about.
could explicate that for that.
Please carry
Thank
on.
you. So, you see, on that route, several cases of ambush had taken place. Ambush carried out by the Meitei militants. On one occasion, I'll just cite one example. There was a wedding troupe, two female in their middle ages, I suppose, and two men. They were in a bolero going towards Kangpokpi side, I think, in their bolero. And that time the internet had been shut down by the chief minister and there was no GPS. So unfortunately, they veered into a Meitei village. And that was the end of story. That was one incident. There were several others.
But don't go into the details of incidents. Answer my question.
I'm answering your question. I have to answer it my way.
But the question is
I'm getting
specific.
to your
The Times of India.
I will. But if you have to carry out the interview in a prescriptive way that I respond in a particular track, we won't get anywhere.
No, it's just that the audience will forget the question because of the details.
And that is your responsibility.
Which is why I'm interrupting.
No.
Which is why I'm interrupting.
If you interrupt me, then I'm only going to be able to answer just what you ask. And that's fair enough. You have that prerogative. But you also have to listen to my side.
I'm more than willing. Answer my question and then go on to tell me everything else.
I did. And the answer gets not convoluted, but slightly circuitous because I can't just say this. It leads to a connection from A to B to C. Therefore, I'm referring to those incidents, the lifeline I stated at the outset. And on that route, our lives are at threat, has been, and preceding the 1st of May, see, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are days when the passengers travel and patrolling takes place.
But
so
my
Sunday
question was not one of the details you're giving me. My question was the Times of India and other media
the
have
Times of
reported.
India
Let me finish and then you answer.
Please.
The Times of India and other media have reported that Kuki insurgents have broken with their SoO agreement with the government.
That's an allegation.
But is it true? I'm asking.
It's an allegation. It is an allegation.
But is it true?
It is. How can I say it is true or not? I was not on ground, but I know the patrolling group, which are carried out by the volunteers, went to check, and the ambush people were there, and there was an encounter.
I tell you why I asked that question.
Okay.
Because yesterday's Hindustan Times, the 13th of September, and I sent you that article, by the way.
I have read that.
Reported that when violence took place in Jiribam on the 8th, amongst the dead bodies that were found who had been fighting in that violence were 3 Kuki Liberation Army militants. The Kuki Liberation Army is the founding member of your organization, the Kuki National Organization.
Not the founding member. They are one of the constituents.
Which is why I ask.
Yes.
Are members of the Kuki National Organization involved in the violence as is being
allegation
alleged
is
and
there.
suggested by the Hindustan
The
Times?
Hindustan Times states that, and most of the press statements or articles are fed by the police in Imphal. Now, I can only view that as an allegation. I haven't seen the bodies. And as far as I know, in the front line are the volunteers, not the SoO groups.
So these reports are wrong?
I would say that from my knowledge, it's the volunteers who carried it out. And the patrolling troop is always volunteers, not SoO members. And they are the ones who encountered.
So the specific report in the Hindustan Times of the 13th that Kuki Liberation Army militants were involved in the violence in Jiribam on the 8th, you're saying is wrong?
It is not in my knowledge. I'm not there.
Your answers are very carefully phrased, which is
I
why,
have
Mr.
to.
Haokip,
I
I'm
cannot be
questioning
careless with a gentleman like you who is so
when you say
persuasive.
when you say it's not in my knowledge,
Of course
it
not.
doesn't mean necessarily it's wrong. It
Well-
might be true, it's just that you don't know about it.
And that's what I'm saying. And what is being alleged could be true, could be false. Who determines that? The media?
No, but you're saying something very important. You're leaving open quite clearly the possibility that KNO members, KLA in this instance, have broken the SoO agreement.
If they are involved, they have broken it. But I don't think they're involved because it's the area where the frontliners take care of. And the buffer zone is there where the central forces are
I
there.
compliment you on your honesty.
Well,
your
I shall
answer
be.
was very honest. If they are involved, that means they could be.
And they could not be.
Yes, but they could be.
That's who's to decide.
No,
The media is clearly not the ones to
No,
decide.
and I'm not saying the media is the one
Okay.
who should decide. The media is reporting what it's been told.
And I'm responding to
But
what
you're
you've
not.
said.
But in responding, you're doing a very important thing, and I'm applauding your honesty. You're actually leaving open the possibility that members of the KNO have broken the SoO agreement.
And also the possibility that they were not.
This
Right?
is an
It's both
astonishingly
ways.
honest answer.
I have to be honest.
Because most other people that I've spoken to, and they may not be members of the KNO as you are their spokesperson, but they are Kukis, have flatly denied these stories. You're not flatly denying them. You're
And
leaving
they,
open the
they are in
possibility
a
they are correct.
position, they're in a position to flatly deny because they're on ground.
You're not.
I'm not.
Okay, let me move further. The violence that began on the 1st of September happened 24 hours after Kuki SoO people took out rallies in the hills demanding a separate administration. And again, my question is simple. Is there a connection between those rallies and the violence that began 24 hours later?
I don't think so. Rallies have been done on and off since 3rd of May and preceding that too. These are just, ways of protesting, expressing your discontent with all that has been going on. It's been 16 months. We don't get any redressal, even for the IDPs.
But again, you began your answer, I don't think so.
Obviously.
That's not a firm, unequivocal denial. You're again leaving open the possibility that maybe the rallies are connected to the violence.
Not at all. That's why I said rallies keep happening now and then. And when there's an incident, if the media wants to link the two, it's their business. As far as I'm concerned, a rally is not intended to incite problems. Go back to the 3rd of May. It's relevant. Don't stop me, please. All tribal union, Manipur, held their peaceful rally in all the hill districts, including Churachandpur, against the ST demand in a democratic,
And
peaceful
the
way.
violence began
And it's
24 hours
linked to
later.
that.
And the violence began 24 hours later.
And are
Hence
you
my
aware?
question
And
about
are
now.
you aware what triggered that violence? The peaceful rally took place in Lamka from 11 to 1. When it finished, around 3 in the afternoon, somebody in the Meitei area tried to light fire to the centennial memorial of the Anglo-Kuki War. That's where, and they went to douse it, and then the scuffle happened, and that's it. So where did it originate?
So, but you're saying to me about the rallies that happened a day before the violence started on the 1st, that there's no link between those rallies and the violence.
Well, you can link it if you like, but I certainly don't think so.
Let's come then to a second or third rather important point. It's been widely reported that rocket-propelled grenades have been fired from high-tech drones, and the Manipur police in an official statement called this a significant escalation. I know from the media that the Kukis have denied that they are using rocket-propelled grenades or that they are using drones to fire grenades. I'm asking you a simple question. Are you saying to me that the report and statement put out by the Manipur police is wrong, or are you simply saying you don't accept it?
Most of the reports submitted by the police is on record and reaches Delhi as well. And in my knowledge, almost 99% are fake and false.
What about this particular report?
This particular one, I'll answer that question by stating that we have a homemade pumpi, as we call it. In the past, 100 years
That's
ago...
a gun. It's a type of gun.
It's a sort of a cannon. 100 years ago, when we fought the British, we used that. And the barrel was made out of dried bison hide, and you could use it only once and it will blow apart. Today, 100 years later, they have these GI pipes. We use those against the sophisticated weapons of the state forces of Manipur, including 2-inch mortars.
But are you saying that you're using adapted Pumpi pipes, not,
if at all,
not rocket-propelled grenades?
how can it, I mean, it's a rudimentary pipe. How can you fill that kind of whatever gunpowder in that to propel an object that would go more than 5 kilometers? It's incredible.
If what you're saying is correct, then quite clearly someone has made a mistake in claiming that these adapted Pumpi pipes are rocket-propelled grenades. But,
I would
but
say so.
Let me finish. But almost every paper in the country has reported widely that rocket-propelled grenades have been fired by Kuki militants using high-tech drones. It's been in virtually every paper. I won't even name
I will
them.
flatly
Most
deny
recently,
that.
Hindustan Times
I will
yesterday.
simply say no. I don't believe the media is the judge for what is right and wrong.
But this story was not one that the media
100 media
concocted.
stating doesn't make
It's
it correct.
But the media hasn't concocted
The
it.
media is of no consequence to us.
The media was given this story by the Manipur police.
The Manipur police, the most that I would distrust. They are the ones who attacked us on 3rd of May as well.
Okay.
They have...
Let's pause at this moment. I'm taking stock of what this interview has so far achieved.
Please.
You're flatly denying reports in the media.
It's impossible. How can these cannons, homemade things out of GI pipes, propel? We don't have that technology, nor do we have the resources to get things like that. Yes,
What happened in the home of the former chief minister in Moireng? Was it not a rocket-propelled grenade that was delivered by a high-tech drone which ended up killing one person in his compound?
No, impossible. I looked at the pictures of that alleged rocket. It was slightly mangled towards the tip. It had not even exploded. And interestingly, you juxtapose that with the picture that was on media about that elderly gentleman, bless his soul, who was on the floor with blood oozing out, hit by that rocket. Is that imaginable?
Hit by splinters.
Splinters. If there's a splinter and it killed him, where's the evidence? And secondly...
The evidence is the dead man.
A rocket?
Hang on. The evidence is the man who's dead.
Yes. And that has been sort of linked to this. Now, the point is technically, if that rocket More than a meter long, landed and blew up. You see the picture, it's intact, it hasn't blown up. If that killed that gentleman...
It's possible that the rocket misfired and didn't blow up. But what I'm asking is, are you using rocket-propelled grenades?
No.
Whether they successfully fire or not, are you using them?
No, we don't use that kind of,
So this report is wrong?
It must be wrong. It must be wrong.
Okay. When the police in Manipur put out that statement calling this a significant escalation, there was more to that statement that I want to quote. The police also said the involvement of highly trained professionals, possibly with technical expertise and support, cannot be ruled out. Do SoO groups, and does your group in particular, the KNO, have access to what is called highly trained professionals? Are they adapting your weaponry that you possess to make it more effective, to make it better targeted?
Karan, your line of questioning appears to be to justify or bring up issues that is clearly associated only with the allegations submitted by the police.
No,
I would have thought...
absolutely, because
allow me
it
to
is
finish,
the state
please.
police.
Excuse me.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Would you allow me to finish? I thought this interview would be at a different level, where we are looking at solutions to the problem, notwithstanding that you refer to.
We'll come to solutions later. The most important thing today is the violence that's happening.
The violence.
And the most important thing about that violence is the allegation, and I'm using the word allegation, that the Kuki militants have broken the SoO agreement, which you say could be possible, but might not be possible. You just can't flatly deny it. And the second important thing
doesn't
is
mean
the claim.
that therefore it is correct.
Absolutely.
Right?
And the second important thing is the claim made by the police, accepted by many media, that rocket-propelled grenades are being fired from high-tech drones. We're now talking about those rocket-propelled grenades. And I'm putting to you the evidence available in the media. So I'm not taking sides. I'm giving you a chance to counter it.
Okay, you are giving me a chance to counter it, but you're also trying to establish the truth.
But only through your countering.
Well, in that case, I would turn the table and say that sort of inquiry with a view to ascertaining what the facts are should not be done by you and me, but by experts.
Well, experts will do it, but
Because
the media has a responsibility
interviews
to
will
question.
not be able to establish
I'm
one
not
way or the other.
establishing. I am asking questions.
It certainly
from
feels
the,
like that.
No, I'm asking questions from the official national spokesperson of the KNO, and the KNO is a major umbrella organization of the SoO groups. And when the allegation is that SoO groups have broken the agreement, I'll ask you. And when the allegation is that rockets are being used fired by high-tech drones, again I'll ask you.
On both counts, no.
There are also
Especially because it's based on reports submitted by the police to the media. If it had gone through scientific channels and it's beyond doubt one way or the other, then it makes sense. But this is an interview where, you know, it's almost frivolous.
There are also reports that Kuki groups, they haven't been identified, have established contact and relations with Chinese organizations.
Interesting.
And that you have access, it's alleged, to Chinese technology, also to Chinese weaponry. How do you respond to those reports?
These are all allegations. And if I have to respond, I would say, to under table again, it's the Meitei underground outfits who have direct links with China. We don't. We don't need to. We are not secessionists. We are demanding our political rights within the framework of the Constitution. There's no need for us to, you know, go to China or anybody. Why should we have to have links with China? It would be contrary to what I represent as KNO spokesperson, have submitted our political demand to the Government of India's representative.
Pradeep Hanjubam,
Yes.
the Meitei journalist,
I know him as a friend.
gave me an interview a couple of weeks ago
Yeah.
where he suggested, I'm using my words carefully, where he suggested rather than outrightly alleged that in fact the rocket-propelled grenades that are said to be fired by Kuki militants through high-tech drones might have been acquired from Myanmar.
I wouldn't think so, because what is known for a fact on ground is the Manipur state forces, especially the commandos, using weapons, including 3-inch mortars, 2-inch mortars, whatever, which is a state asset. They have been used against us. In fact, at the beginning, 2,000 of them were counted. Now, people don't focus on that, and rightly you focus on the 1st of September because you've qualified it. Fair enough. But it appears to me the media is the deciding factor, and what perception they create is the basis government is going to deliberate on things.
Well, I don't think it's fair to say that the media is the deciding factor. The media
They're
is
trying to.
reporter.
They're swaying opinions.
No, I'm not sure they're swaying opinion in any one direction deliberately.
I hope
what
not.
they're doing is reporting facts on the ground as told to them either by the Manipur police. In this instance, I'm giving you a chance to counter
Karan,
it.
there's a contradiction in your question itself.
Which is?
You're saying, as reported, facts reported on ground. The fact is not established yet.
Well, hang
There
on,
are
let me cite a
reports.
fact that is. Yesterday's
See, you're still
Hindustan-
referring to it as fact. It's
I am.
already established as
Yesterday's
fact
Hindustan-
because of the involvement of the press.
No, hang on a second. Yesterday's Hindustan Times, and again, I'm pointing out, I sent you that article yesterday.
news
So you've
article.
seen it, absolutely.
It's
a
an
very
independent
lengthy,
organization.
It's a very lengthy news article
I
which
read
said
it.
that, in fact, guns have been fitted with telescopes onto the weaponry that the Kukis are using, that this fitting of telescopes on guns is an advanced technology that allegedly was not available earlier, now is. And I'm asking, is that a sign that you are getting technology from other sources?
See, those are available, and it has been, snipers have been used against us. We have lost people, and snipers used by the commandos, Manipur State Police. What are they doing with the Rambai Tengol and the Meitei Moab attacking us? They're using those sophisticated weapons. So when we happen to use something, then we are in the wrong. Does that mean that the state has the right to use those against its citizens? I'm more interested in that than the technicality of who uses what. If they use something and we use something, that doesn't justify the violence.
No, I'm not justifying the violence. I'm asking whether you have access to either highly trained professionals or technology from across the border, whether that border is China
I am a
or
spokesperson
Burma.
of the organization. I don't deal in arms. I don't deal in where the organization gets arms and all that. That is not in my realm.
So you don't know? Is that the answer?
I don't know, and I don't think that's what should be important in an interview like this.
Well, I
where
think it is
everyone
important because it is the
watching.
news that is reaching the Indian people about which they will have questions to ask.
Then more importantly, the government of India and the Indian citizens should query why is the state abusing its constitutional legitimacy against citizens of India. That's more important.
I'm not here defending
They're using
the state.
Caspers.
I'm not here
I am
defending the state.
asking that question.
No, hang on a second. I'm not here defending the state. I'm not here defending Biren Singh or Amit Shah. What I'm doing is speaking to the spokesperson of the KNO about stories that or allegations that are in the papers, given in one instance by the Manipur police, given perhaps by others as well. I'm asking you for your version. That is a legitimate thing for me to do.
Absolutely perfect. I respect that. And surely you also would allow me or give me room to respond by way of a question again.
Which is?
Which is, why are we not talking about the state abusing its constitutional legitimacy by resorting to all the state arsenal against a minority community like us?
Because that is a question to be put to the state who is the offender. They will be put in the dock when they agree to sit in front of me, and I will certainly then put to them the very questions you're now suggesting I should. I'd be happy to do it. But at the moment, I'm not talking to Amit Shah or Biren Singh. I'm talking to Seilen Haokip. Let's now move, because I think we've discussed this bit very extensively. Okay. It was important we start with the stories in the papers about either the Kuki militants breaching the SoO agreements or the new technology and the weaponry they're using. We've done it. Let's now come to the future.
And your conclusion has to be heard.
I don't have a conclusion.
Okay,
my conclusion
so
is for the audience to come to.
All right.
I'm asking questions, you're answering them, the audience will come to whatever conclusion they want. That is their prerogative.
Fair enough.
Let's now come to the second part of this interview,
Please.
where I want to talk to you about issues to do with the future.
Okay.
First of all, Chief Minister Biren Singh has repeatedly demanded that the SoO agreement should be revoked and cancelled. As far as I know, his government has diminished its participation or its adherence to that agreement over the last several months.
Okay.
How worried are you, as the spokesperson of the KNO, that this SoO agreement might be revoked by the central government?
I'm not at all worried about that, because SoO is there for peace, so that we can resolve our issues through political dialogue. And the Home Minister himself is the propagator of peace first and settlement second. We are compliant to his proposal. The state is not. Why?
Well, because of the explanation that I gave, that Biren Singh wants to revoke it. And my fear is that if Biren Singh, as a member of the BJP, is giving advice to Amit Shah, who's also from the BJP, revoke SoO, Amit Shah may choose to do so. Are you worried about that possibility?
Are you referring to the possibility of party politics taking over facts?
Well,
now,
party politics determines the way governments function.
Well, surely not just. Then if I'm not a BJP member, then I'm relegated.
I'll tell you why I ask. Because whilst Biren Singh is publicly demanding the revocation of SoO, you've had no assurance from the central government that they will stand by and stick by SoO.
Well,
they are silence from Delhi.
No. The fact that they have not abrogated SoO, it's a tripartite arrangement. The centre, us and the state. Centre invited us for extension of SoO. We came. The state did not come. 3 out of 2 are in favor of SoO because the peace dividends are immense. Now, secondly,
so SoO is intact. So SoO is intact.
Of course it is.
And you have no fear or concern?
No, not at all.
You believe, Amit Shah, that he won't come under pressure from Biren Singh?
Well, I will believe or disbelieve according to what comes out officially. And so far, the SoO has not been extended, which means the previous one remains.
Okay.
Now, I want to get to a very pertinent question here. Why is the state abrogating SoO? Because they say in the assembly, they have asserted this, that cadres have violated ground rules. What ground rules? The ground rules are for both the security forces and our cadres. Who violated the ground rules on 3rd of May by turning their guns on citizens in Imphal? they violated it at a much more, enormous, it's a constitutional violation.
So the first violation you're saying happened by the state?
And continuing.
Okay. Now, as you know probably better than me, in the last few days there have been fairly sizable protests by students in Imphal demanding that the security advisor be replaced, demanding that the DGP of police be replaced, and both Biren Singh and R.K. Imo Singh have also demanded that the unified command be put under the control of the Chief Minister. How do you, as the spokesman of KNO,
Before
view
I
these
answer,
demands?
Karan, I would like to know on what basis they make those demands.
Well, I don't know. I'm simply saying to you
Well,
that these are the
I
demands.
happen to know
What-
because
what
they're
is the
saying
basis?
this is against the center-state relations. Fair enough. But what about the state abusing again its constitutional legitimacy against its citizens, which is more harmful?
No doubt. But come back to my question, because if students protesting on the streets of Imphal are putting pressure on the central government to dispense with the security advisor, to dispense with the DG of police, and to place the unified command under the control of the Chief Minister, are you worried this could be acceded to?
I don't think so, because the integrity of the Union of India is paramount. Therefore, the center will ensure that there is justice and fairness. Why have they given the unified command to Mr. Kuldeep Singh? Or why is the DGP, earlier it was a Kuki, he was removed? That tells a lot. And you have brought in someone from other parts of the country, neither a Meitei or a Kuki. Now, what does that say? It is a very polite exercise of the government. Rather than give the authorities a rap on their knuckles, they have just
But you're confident
replaced.
that the central government will stand by this?
I would be absolutely aghast if they don't stand by it.
R.K. Imo Singh, who in addition to being a Meitei MLA, is also the Chief Minister's son-in-law, has written a letter to Amit Shah a couple of weeks ago. And one of the demands he forcefully raised was that the 60,000 central forces stationed in Manipur should be removed. And incidentally, over the last 6 weeks, this is obviously for different reasons, 2,000 Assam rifle soldiers have been shifted to Jammu and Kashmir. Are you worried that these remaining, now I presume 58,000 central forces might be removed under pressure from R.K. Imo Singh?
And again, if the center heeds to the state officials or politicians' demand or the students' demand and remove the central forces and the DGP and the Unified Command Authority, then Government of India might as well give what the Meitei people demand, which is independence from India. That's what they're hankering after.
But are you confident that Amit Shah won't come under pressure from Biren Singh or R.K. Imo Singh?
The pressure is on. It's always on, as contradictory as they are.
And you think he can resist that pressure?
Well, I hope the Honorable Home Minister is not the only person who will take a decision on this matter.
Okay, let's broaden our discussion one step further. One of the things people notice about Manipur when they look at the situation in the state from outside the state is that the Meitei look upon the Assam rifles as biased in favor of the Kuki, and the Kuki look upon the Manipur police as biased in favor of the Meitei. Explain to me, is this factually based upon actual things that have led to this belief, or is this just prejudice?
Okay, let's start with our response or attitude towards the state forces. There is evidence of them not being neutral. They have attacked our civilians in Imphal and in the buffer zone across as well, in Moray, in wherever. There is
about
evidence.
incidents like Lambu Lane.
Yes, there is evidence of the state forces not being neutral. I can give you evidence of the Assam Rifles being neutral. If our volunteers try to cross the buffer zone, they don't hesitate to shoot. Now, till today, has the Assam Rifles ever fired at any protest held in the valley? Has there been any incident of anybody being killed? No. In the hills there is. in Churachandpur, where the public safely evacuated the Meitei population to the Assam Rifle camp, and they were later taken to Imphal. However, there were some radicals who protested, and 2 women were shot by the Assam Rifles in Lamka.
So
has that ever happened in the valley? Never.
But what are you saying to me, Mr. Haokip, that the Kukis trust the Assam Rifles and don't trust the Manipur police?
No, we definitely don't trust the Manipur police, but obviously the Assam Rifles, despite them shooting our protesters,
You
but
still
never
trust
the
them?
Meitei.
You still
of
trust
course,
them?
because they are neutral and they are not ethnically formed. They are
Sitting where you are,
Yes.
on earlier occasions, I've heard exactly the opposite from Meitei people I've interviewed. They trust the Manipur police. They claim that the Manipur police has often shot at them. They don't trust the Assam Rifles.
No,
they claim the Assam Rifles takes the side of the Kukis.
Can they cite an incident where the Assam Rifles ever shot Meitei protesters in the valley? I don't think you will find
The
one.
point I'm suggesting is that the level of distrust between the Kuki and Meitei is so extreme, so unbridgeable, that it's now reflected in the way you view different forces belonging to the state.
No.
Manipur police are prejudiced for you, they are loyal for the Meitei. Assam Rifles are loyal for you, trustworthy for you, they are untrustworthy for the Meitei. This division of trust, this distrust, even hatred, has sunk very, very deep, hasn't it?
And I certainly hope we will overcome all this distrust. A lot of them are based on
How?
false narratives by getting to the bottom of it all. And truth has to be the way to bring about reconciliation in the future. Both communities must begin to see who is floating falsehood, inciting
But do you
both
really
sides.
believe this deep distrust, which has led to hatred, can actually be overcome?
If we see, Karan, no matter what kind of political settlement we arrive at, we will be neighbors forever and ever. That cannot be altered. So sensible people would want to coexist, and to do that, you have to resolve issues based on facts and truths, not what the media reports or what the police reports.
You know what they say? They say
allow me to
strong,
finish.
firm borders
Allow me to finish,
create
please.
good neighbors. Do you
Allow
need
me
a
to
border?
finish. Of course we do at the moment, certainly. And otherwise also there are borders, there are district boundaries. But doesn't mean that you have to get to the situation where you have a buffer zone. That has developed because of the problems, the socio-political problems. So we have to address those socio-politically. Now, in terms of the Meiteis distrusting Assam Rifles and we distrusting the state forces, the evidence is on ground. The state forces shoot us. Assam Rifles do not shoot them. You should draw your conclusion on that.
Many Kukis that I've spoken to, some of them are heads of Kuki organizations, others are Kuki MLAs, say to me that the solution is a separate administration.
Most certainly. We have been ethnically cleansed from the valley where we lived together
And
with,
the opposite has happened to the Meitei in the hills.
because they first kicked us out. And they are the majority group, they are the parent
But
body.
their
They should
houses
be,
have been burnt, their churches have been burnt in the hills too.
of course. So does that mean it's quid pro quo? You have
So
to
you're
get to,
saying to me the solution is a separate administration.
absolutely. They don't want us. They want to annihilate us completely.
But you know that the Meitei as a people are strenuously against it. Biren Singh is against it. And we've had no indication from the central
And we are
government.
strenuously for our separate administration.
How can you convince Amit Shah and Narendra Modi a separate administration is the right solution?
Well, what alternative is there? Can you imagine you in our position going back to Imphal and all will be hunky-dory? Can you imagine yourself in that state? You're an objective person.
Do you have any hint at all from the central government that they're willing to concede a separate administration?
Willing in the sense, see, we're a democracy. We have rule of law. We have the constitution. Many states, UTs have been created, and that is the future of the country's integrity.
But will the Modi government grant it?
Well, that will only be, I'm not a prophet. Our talks are going on, and a time will come when they will take their decision.
Tell me about those talks. Where have those talks reached? What point are you at?
We are at the point of having submitted our demand in writing officially.
For a separate administration.
We call it in accordance with the constitutional provisions. SA could only mean either UT or state. And we want UT because we want direct central rule, because we are integrationists. And Article 3 of the Constitution calls for... Allow me to finish.
I'm just clarifying.
No,
you
please.
Want UT,
I will not answer you if you don't
state.
listen me through on this.
It's important.
No, let me finish.
Just clarify.
No,
you
you're
want a
disturbing
union
me.
territory, not a state.
I'm sorry, Karan. You're trying
I'm
to...
clarifying one thing. That's what
No, I can't until I finish my sentence. I have to finish my sentence and I'll respond with due respect. Article 3 of the Constitution calls for the integration integrity of the Union of India, not of the state. If that was to happen, which the Manipur government is claiming, and you go back to the princely state wanting, things to be, which the state of Manipur is trying to do, back to the princely state. What happens if it happens in the rest of the country? Therefore, the constitutional fathers very wisely called for district boundaries, state boundaries can be altered. It stops there. It doesn't say that the state's integrity must be maintained. There's no clause to that effect.
You want a union territory,
of course,
not a separate state.
No, a union territory, because our security is the primary concern now. And if we are ruled directly by the center with our legislature, then we feel secure.
This is a very important answer you've given, because others that I've spoken to who are important Kuki spokesmen for their respective organizations have said that they would prefer a state but would settle for a union territory. You're making clear to me you want a union territory.
Yes, I'm a realist. See, we are a small population, small area, and a state would be a bit, too much for us to handle. Unrealistic. We need central, maybe after 20, 30, 40 years you could evolve.
A union territory with a legislature like Pondicherry and Delhi, or a union territory without a legislature?
With a legislature. Because that would restore our self-governance that existed before the British came.
Come back to the talks you're having with the central government. You say you've submitted your paper to them. What response have you got from them?
The response is that political dialogue is on. The pace is slow because it gets interrupted. First, in the last year, it was the 5 state elections, then parliamentary elections, and now they want to resume, and it's being disrupted by the state government. Because the
Are you sure they're not playing for time and dragging things on?
Well, I certainly hope not.
Because it sounds like that to me.
That sounds like that to you. That's subjective. I'm saying, as a participant, I understand the process. The new dispensation is in place. They have 5 years. Now is the time to do it, not in the last year.
Do you really believe they'll do it?
Well, I have faith in the government of India and the country.
Whatever hints and statements we've got from Amit Shah suggest, and I'm using the word suggest, that they're averse to the idea of a separate administration by granting union territory status to the hills.
They have not explicated that.
Not you, but in the statements that they're making, that's suggested.
Well, and it's understandable. If I would put myself in their shoes, I would take that line. But if he was in my shoes, he would say exactly what I'm saying.
So you're saying that they will soon realize that there is no alternative to a separate administration?
Absolutely. They already know that cerebrally, but in practice, politically, they are reticent because of all the, ramifications involved.
They know it intellectually, they have to accept it emotionally.
I beg your pardon?
They know it intellectually, they have to accept it emotionally.
They have to accept it politically. Okay. Emotions need not come in.
Let me put this as the last question to you.
Please.
In a few days' time, the Manipur crisis will be 17 months old. During that time, Prime Minister Modi has refused to go to Manipur even once. And I'm using the word refuse because he's deliberately chosen not to go. And I want to put this to you. Only on rare occasions has the Prime Minister spoken in public about Manipur and the crisis.
True.
What's your view of the way the central government has responded to this crisis?
I'll answer that in twofold. The Prime Minister not visiting Manipur, yes, emotionally we feel it. We wish he would come and empathize with our pain. But in the second part, technically, the Home Minister is responsible for these issues, and he is doing the needful in terms of engaging as an SoO, and dialogue is going on. The pace is not to our liking. We hope it was sooner, because a day delayed in our settlement is a day added to the pains of our people. Yes, notwithstanding that, I'm a realist. On the one hand, I wish it was sooner in terms of the proceedings, but on the other hand, I also understand in a country like India, a huge country, we are just a small issue in the whole scheme of things. Not that they neglect because of that.
You're
but
very
it
understanding.
I have to be. I am an understanding person. I have had some education, and I've been in this situation for over almost 30 years now.
You're the first Kuki person I have interviewed of importance who has been so understanding, so accepting of the central government's apparent lack of concern.
You phrase it as apparent lack of concern. I see it as a practical proceeding where they have constraints. That doesn't mean that they are going to ignore us.
How much more time are you prepared to give the Modi government?
Well, how long did it take for other similar situations for issues to be resolved? Mizoram took 20 years of fighting, and then it finally came to a solution. And there are many other places.
So you're prepared to wait for 2 decades?
Well, if it needs to be more than that also, we will wait. Ours is to wait, ours is to demand, it's for them to give. If they, in their wisdom, think it should be sooner, God bless them.
Can the situation continue the way it is for 20 years? Should it continue that way?
It should not. That's the responsibility of the government of India, not mine.
But they seem to be accepting that.
No, not accepting it. I said I can understand why it is taking time.
All right. I'll end the interview there. I want to once again applaud you. Even though we have bickered and quarreled at many times during this interview, and you've accused me several times of deliberately interrupting you and not letting you speak, I still want to applaud you for one element of honesty, which I've heard only for the first time from the Kuki, the possibility that some Kuki organizations, including the KNO, your own, which are part of the SoO Agreement, may have violated it. You just don't know for sure. You're not saying they have, you're not saying they haven't. You said to me openly and honestly, I don't know. And I applaud you for that honesty.
But just as a closure on that point, I didn't end my response by saying I don't know. I said that is the place where the volunteers operate, and it should be them.
Okay. Mr. Haokip, thank you very much for making time for me. Take care.
Thank you, Karan. I
Stay
congratulate you on your professionalism and being objective and not biased towards either community. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that compliment.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.